Yeah, so I was just going to share a bit of my story and about how Jesus has worked in my life. So I'll go from the beginning. So I grew up in Oban. I was adopted actually when I was like 6 months old. I was adopted into a good family. My mum and dad married. They took me in when they were about 30-year-old, and I moved in with them. So I had a good upbringing. My mum and dad, they aren't particularly Christians, but they're from a Protestant family, but they're not really walking with God or anything like that. But my mum still had such a belief to get me baptised as a small child at the Church of Scotland, even though she doesn't have much faith. But she did that, and she put me into Sunday school, just the normal kind of stuff, and I had a reasonably good early life in Oban. I was in Sunday school till about the age of 6, when my mum just told me recently. I came home at 6-year-old, and I said to her, I don't want to go back there, Mum. And she said, why? And I said, all they do is talk about Jesus. So that was kind of my decision at that age, which was obviously not very wise at the time, but that was the way it was meant to happen. So after that, I never had any faith really. I mean, I never had any reality of God in my life. I never even thought about it. I actually just thought it was nonsense. It wasn't even worth thinking about. It didn't affect me. I thought I knew better. And that's the way I lived my life. And I went to, I went through primary school, went into high school, reasonably normal life. And then at 16, I went away to the military. I wanted more for my life, and I decided to join the Argylls. So I done a year's training in junior leaders. And then I went off to infantry training school, and I really enjoyed the army. And I went down to my battalion when I was about 18. And around that time we were training very hard, but then at the weekends we were partying even harder. So then through that I started getting involved in drugs. I was drinking a lot of the weekends, and I was just being a bit of a hooligan, getting in fights and just doing what I thought every 18-year-old boy was doing at the time. Well, in my reality, that's what was happening. So I was getting picked up by the police, and I was getting in trouble. I was getting court. Many times I had to come from the army up into Oban for court cases, for fighting with people, and I just didn't have it easy. The trouble seemed to find me all the time. I never went looking for it, but it always seemed to find me. So this went on for a few years. And then eventually, I was getting deeper involved in drugs, and the darkness really gripped me, and I got drawn deeper into an addiction. And when I was about 21, this culminated in me getting arrested. Well, I basically collapsed outside a pub in Canterbury, and I woke up in a hospital, and apparently I'd flatlined, and I was really unwell, and I had 4 military policemen standing around my bed, and they told me that basically this was my army career going to be over. And I was really upset about that. Even though I was partying and I was doing silly things, I still loved the army at that point. So I took this really bad when I had this court-martial to come up. We were in the process of getting ready to go to Afghanistan, so I'd been training with the boys, and I was really looking forward to that. So what happened around that time, I got word from the commanding officer that I wouldn't be allowed to fly out because of this pending court case. So then I was going to have to remain in the camp, which took a serious toll on my mental health. And I was really in a dark spot at that time, and the boys flew out to Afghanistan. I was left behind on guard duty, and during that time I got deeper involved in drugs, and I was having parties in the camp. I was taking cocaine in the camp, and I was just living like a bit of a maniac for a few months at that time, sorry. But then anyway, it came to the time when I got court-martialed, and I got 3 months in military prison when I was about 21, and then I got discharged from the army. So I came back to Oban with good intentions of getting a job and sorting my life out, but I found it was going to be harder than I expected. So I ended up trying to get a job, but I didn't have any qualifications because I'd been trained as a combat infantry straight from school. And then I just found the darkness followed me. No matter how hard I tried, I was always getting a pull towards drugs, and I was in amongst the people who were partying and taking drugs. So then I ended up, the only way I was able to get money was to sell drugs, and I started coming down to Glasgow, and I was getting deeply involved with heavier kind of individuals from Glasgow, and I started taking drugs up the road. selling drugs with friends, initially with friends, and then it got bigger, and as the more money was coming in, I was getting drawn into it deeper, and my addiction got worse due to that. So then this kind of snowballed, and then every time I tried with all my might to get away from this life all the time, and I knew I didn't want to be doing it, but I just could never seem to find a way out of it. And this happened for a few years, and then I was getting involved in fights, and at one point I actually got thrown off a 25-foot balcony in Oban and fractured my skull. For some strange reason, I was about 24, and I remember when I got thrown off. I wasn't spiritual, I didn't believe in God, but I remember thinking my fall had been cushioned by something here. Like when I went off the balcony, I somersaulted backwards onto concrete 25 foot below, and when I hit my head, it was like a blue flash. I didn't feel any pain, and I got straight back up on my feet and walked home. And I always thought something stopped me from dying, because I should have died off that the way I landed, but I only had fractured skull. So these things were happening where I can see now the hand of God was on my life. I had many overdoses later on after that. When I was 25, 26, I started getting drawn into heroin, smoking crack. I was doing all these things. I was constantly seeking something, but I didn't realise it was God. But at the time I was trying to fill a hole that was in my heart. Anyway, the darkness had me for a few years at that time, and until it got really bad, I must have been about nearly 3 years ago, and I had enough of it. I was back at work, and I was trying to get away from that life, and one day I'd had enough, and I decided to go back to my mum and say, look, I've had enough of these drugs, I don't want to be on them. I was on medication at the time off the doctor, and I was adamant that I was wanting to come off this. So against the doctor's advice, I just decided to stop taking everything, and I went home to my mum's and decided to go cold turkey off all the drugs. She took me back in and was very helpful to me at this time. So during this time, I was really weak. I was very ill. I was shaking. I was coming off the heroin, the Valium, and all the rest of the stuff. And I was shaking, and I was sweating, and I was just in a bad way. I really felt like my soul was going to leave me. I was that bad. And then a couple of days went by, and my mum came in, and I remember her coming in, and she gave me a small New Testament Bible that I'd been given when I was baptised as a baby in the Church of Scotland. So she gave me this and said, oh, this might help you if you're feeling bad. And so I was reading it, and at that point my eyes weren't open to it at that time, so I thought, it's nice, but I don't know who this guy is. He sounds like a nice guy, but it's not really helping me out, So I was reading it for a couple of days, and then eventually I was really broken, and I just shouted, like, Jesus, see if you're God, help me out of this, and then I'll believe, because I don't believe this. And I threw the Bible to one side, and I kind of forgot I asked, but this must have been over 2 years ago now this happened. But slowly after that, I found that I was getting my strength back. I forgot that I asked God for help, but now looking back, I can see He was helping me from that day. I got good employment, and all the doors started opening for me, and my life got better again. I got a good job. I started getting more spiritual, and I was getting drawn into New Age beliefs, and I was doing meditation, and I was getting drawn into like sort of Hindu beliefs, and I was searching for the truth. Even though I'd asked Jesus, I wasn't aware that He was the truth at that point. So I was looking at all these other avenues, and I got led through all these different, I believe God led me through these different paths so that I was able to speak against it in the future. But at that time I didn't. I was just looking for the truth. So I was drawn into this for a while, and I joined a local jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts club, and now I see that God put these people around me to help me to better myself, and it was a good positive environment for me to focus my energy on, and they really helped me grow spiritually as well, like in myself, and make me become more humble as a person. And I trained there for about the best part of a year, and I was awarded Student of the Year, and things were going really good for me. But in December, not last December, the one before, I got a letter through for a court case from way back when I was in trouble with drugs and stuff, that I'd kind of forgotten about. And this letter told me that I had to appear in court for an offence where I was, back when I was staying with this girl, and she had a history of kind of theft and drugs and stuff like that, and money had went missing from the house next door. So when she was arrested for it, because I was around at that time, she blamed me for it. So the police wanted to interview me, and they interviewed me, and I said, no, she done it, it wasn't me. And anyway, we were blaming each other. So in court, we had to both appear in court on January the 5th last year. So around the time of this court case was coming up, I was getting deeply involved in this New Age beliefs, and I was meditating, and I had what they call, it's a Kundalini awakening. It's a false kind of spiritual awakening. Now I believe it's totally demonic, and it's complete deception. And basically they tell you your energies line up with the divine and all this kind of stuff. Something does happen to your spirit, which is raised, but it's not raised as far as God. I think it's raised somewhere else, you know. But anyway, I felt this energy coming into me. And then the next day I had the court, had a great report that I was going to, everything was going to go well, and I should expect to walk out because this girl had a previous for this kind of thing. So I wasn't worried, but because I was spiritually tuned in, I had this voice tell me it was going to be fine, and everything was happening for a reason, and not to worry. So anyway, on the day of the court, which was the next day after this awakening, I was sentenced to, along with this girl, we were both sentenced to 12 months in prison, regardless of the good statements I had in my favour. The judge just said we were both as bad as each other. So we got both sentenced, and this is where I went into Low Moss and I met John. And I was explaining a lot of this stuff that was happening to me. I was in the middle of a spiritual awakening, and there was a battle going on within my spirit. I didn't realise at the time, but this is what was happening. But I mean, I still wasn't aware of Jesus at this point, really. I mean, I was open to it, but I went in there with a dark presence came with me into prison, and I was seeing shadows. I was seeing orbs of light. I was having complete overwhelming fear. I felt like there was a presence on my back, and it was feeding off my energy, and I just felt so weak. And I really didn't know what it was. I couldn't explain it. Sorry. So I'm looking at, there was a small Bible outside my cell, and I'm looking in this Bible trying to find answers. But I mean, I'm still open to whatever it is, and I'm looking through the Quran. I'm looking through all these different religious things, trying to find the truth. But eventually, these attacks intensified, and I was having. It wasn't just me that was seeing this, my cellmate was seeing it, so I knew that I wasn't going crazy. I knew this was something happening, and there was paranormal activity in my cell where there was chairs moving around and there was things flying about. There was demonic activity at night time. They were coming upon me and choking me, strangling me, and I was waking up with actual physical marks on me, scratches, and all these nasty things were happening to me. So this happened over the course of a week, and I'll cut it short a bit, but basically, one of the nights I was having the dream where I woke up and I was being choked by this presence, and I woke up and I couldn't breathe, and I managed to get out of breath, and what I said was, Jesus is Lord. And I didn't believe that at the time, but I said it, and I said it twice, Jesus is Lord, Jesus is Lord, and the thing let go of me. And then when I picked the Bible up, I let it fall in Romans 8, and the part that says, nobody can say Jesus is Lord except by the Holy Spirit. So at this point I was thinking, maybe there's something in this here. You know what I mean? So then that kind of like, I started paying attention there. But then these attacks went on for a while until basically I just snapped, and I basically said, look, God, forgive me, I've messed up in the past, like, forgive me and show me what to do here, because I can't do this anymore. And as soon as I said that, the darkness got totally fled out of the place. And then for 3 days I seen white Holy Spirit just sitting in my room with my eyes. I could just see Spirit everywhere. And then I started having positive encounters with the spiritual realm. I was able to see in the Spirit. I can see in the Spirit when I close my eyes at night. I can see spiritual beings. And before I was only seeing demonic, but now I was aware that I can perceive the good also, and now that I'm protected, I don't have to worry about that kind of thing. So I was having dreams of angels and spirits coming to me, and God coming to me as well and speaking to me. And I haven't I don't think I'm meant to tell people what he said, but he did come, and there was a lot of nice things and good encounters I had. And then that just strengthened me more. And as time went on, I started having more dreams, and God started showing me things that were about to happen, and then they were coming to pass. I mean, there was one particular dream that I tell people about, and this happened a couple of weeks before I was due to leave prison. And what it was in the dream, I was kneeling down, and I was talking to a young guy on the street, and I was telling him, I don't really know what I said, but I know I seen what I did. And in the dream, I put my hand in my bag, and I took a Bible out, and I put £10 in the Bible, and I gave it to this young guy. And then a couple of weeks later, when I was in Glasgow, I got released from prison. And I was walking through the town, I was on the phone to my mum, and I seen this guy across the road, and he was sitting outside a shop, just like I seen in my dream, the same guy that I had the dream. And I was like, I need to go, Mum, this is like crazy. And she thought something was happening, you know. She's like, oh, are you okay? I was like, no, I'm fine. I need to go and see this guy. So I went to see him, and I was trying to say it without sounding like a crazy man, you know. I was like, yeah, man, I was like, this is my story, and this is my history, and this. I told him the same stuff I've told all you about my past. And I said, look, man, I was like, Jesus is real, and he shows me things now, and he showed me a dream that I was to come and give you this Bible. And I had 2 Bibles on me as well, because someone gave me one before I left prison as well. So that was another thing, that I had the 2 Bibles, so I was able to keep mine. And I gave this young guy a Bible, put £10 in it, and I told him, you know, like God sees you, he knows you, you just have to ask him, and he won't ignore you, kind of thing. He listened to me, he'll listen to you. And then he was saying, like, wow, man, he's like, I was thinking if there was a God, I didn't know, and you know, so I was saying, well, there must be, kind of thing, you know. So I really hope I see that guy again. But this is just an example of things that God's been doing ever since. He just shows me these things, and they seem to happen. So anyway, I met John, and we got talking, and he was the only chaplain that really took me seriously. I actually was asked if I had mental health issues by some of the other chaplains who weren't exactly spiritual, you know. So it was nice to meet somebody who accepted me for what I was saying, and could actually, he seemed to be in the truth, and you know, doing what he was meant to be doing. So I always thank him for helping me, and he took me through a lot of teachings about baptism, and I was aware that I wanted to get baptized, because God was telling me, once you get baptized, you'll be freed up from these things that are troubling you. And this is what was in my mind, and I was trying to rush God's timing. I was really adamant, and I was pestering John to get baptized, and the facilities weren't really there, and I really had it on my heart that I wanted to get it done. But I'm glad God waited until I was in Africa to do that, because it was God's timing, and I could feel the Spirit moving at that time, and I feel it was significant that it happened there. But anyway, so I left prison, and John had got me in touch with a local church in Oban, the Oban Baptist Church, and I had a vision of that church when I was in prison. So I seen it flash behind my eyes, so I knew God was saying this was the right church. So then I attended there, and I was on the tag for 3 months after I'd been released from prison. After a couple of months of attending the church, I met a girl from California, and she told me that she felt like the Lord was putting it on her heart to tell me about this course in California, Irish Leader School, and she felt like this was one that I was to apply for. So I applied for this course, not knowing what it was. I just thought, well, it seems right. I prayed, and I felt God was giving me peace about it, so I applied. They took me through the process of application, and they accepted me for it, but they said that they wouldn't be advising I go into a leadership role yet until I get a foundation, and they would recommend I thought about going to the Father's House course in South Africa. So I went away and I prayed on it. God showed me many signs about Africa, and I had a lot of dreams of getting the money to go to Africa. So I knew God was saying He was going to provide it for me, and I was to go to Africa. So about a month before it was due to start, I phoned up and booked my flights on faith. I had £800 in the bank. I managed to get a really good deal on a return flight from Glasgow to Cape Town for £655 that only God could do. So I knew it was the right thing to do. So so I had a couple of weeks after that to actually go, and I still didn't have the money. And God was saying, like, I was trusting God completely, but I just couldn't see how it was going to happen. And about 3 weeks before I was due to go, I had this dream about the guy handing me the money and telling me, this is where I was to go. So I said, I started speaking to people, and I did a soup lunch at the church, and I raised £850 through that. And then, and then the money started coming in, and people donated. And I had to raise £2,000 for the actual cost of the course in Africa. I had some money aside that I was making at the time as well, which I was putting aside, and I was well prepared just to use all my own money to go. But God provided for it, and he provided every single bit of money I needed. He paid the complete cost of the course. I paid for the flight myself, but he paid the £2,000 for the course. And I went there with £1,200 for the 8 weeks of my own money, and I was able to sustain myself over there and get everything I needed, and I was able to help people and do everything I wanted to do with that money, and I came back with £200. So, I mean, God really provided. I was there from October the 1st until November the 20th, and yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah, there's a couple. I've got so many photos, but we just quickly picked a few out of it. This is a couple. There was 5 students from all different nations. That guy was from Singapore. That girl was, she was actually from a Muslim family. She was from France. I think they were Senegalese. And she actually had to flee her family because they were basically trying to hurt her. They were Muslims, so she fled. She came over, and there was 2 other, you can flick to the next one. Yeah, so this is the upper room in the house where we done all our teaching. Basically, the course ran, it was every Monday to Friday, every morning we would have a teaching on different spiritual teachings about, dreams, interpretation of visions, like spirit, soul, body, all these different things, and fundamental teachings as well, Bible teachings, and we would do like Bible passages and all your Bible study in that time in the morning, and we would have a guest speaker from somewhere with testimonies, and we would do prophetic teachings and stuff like that as well. So it really built us up. So every morning we done that Monday to Friday in that room, and we got to go up and do teachings and get grounded in letting the Holy Spirit teach through us and stuff like that. So that's what we did there. If you want to flick it. Yeah. So this is just at the top area where we used to go, and we used to worship there. It was a lovely area up in the hills of Robertson. No phone reception, no internet. It was brilliant. It was peace. No interference from anywhere. Just baboons. They used to come, and they stole my bread one time as well. So I wasn't very happy about that. So we spent a lot of the time chasing them away, but it was good fun. So that's what we did there. We would worship every day for an hour at least, and it was just a real strong time with God in his presence. And what he did there was, I had a lot of hurt and stuff I was holding on to from the past that I wasn't even aware of, that he opened my eyes to, and he shone the light on it, and I was able to leave it there. And I came back. I just got replaced by peace and boldness for his cause. And I'm just grateful that he took me there, because not many people get to go there. It was really a great time. You want to flick it? Yeah, so this is, we started a local boys club in one of the poor townships. So once a week we would go in and we would meet, and I would teach them from the Bible, or we would talk about different topics, and we would try and get a framework where they would get kind of introduced to spiritual truths. So we did that every Wednesday. And we actually built there was a little outhouse, and we helped build it up, and we secured it, and they had a little place where they could come and be safe, because there was a lot of drugs and violence in their communities, and they had nowhere really to go. So they had us as like a father figure at the time, and we seen great improvement in the children during that time. They came on leaps and bounds. They actually started attending more school attendance, and God really moved in their life. So I would like to think that we were a positive impact when we were there, and I do hope to go back. But this particular time we were having a meeting with the local police chief, and he came and he suggested, I told him I was in military, and he the other boy who I was with actually he just left national service for the Singapore Navy. So the guy suggested we should teach these little guys to march. So Well, the discipline was atrocious, but we got there. We got there. We got there in the end. So it was good fun.
Yeah, so you can take the boy out of the army, but not the army out of the boy necessarily. So you're planning to go back out? Is it South Africa or somewhere else next time, Russell?
I don't plan much. God kind of does that for me.
Yeah.
But I don't want to. we got asked to speak with a local church in one of the townships. But I'll just close. But I just want to pray, if that's all right. This is what I did over there as well, and I really felt like God put this in my heart. As I've got this testimony and what He's done in my life, I think that when we pray and we speak this over other people, it will affect them too. So, yeah, I just want to.
Well, should we both pray? You pray first.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But I mean, the story just sounded like Joseph all over again. So, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. So, I'm just open.